RPGRules, how to make your own visual effects. So I've been playing around in the particle editor, made this cool little spinning trail particle effect in the old legacy particle system, which I want to use as a visual effect in the game. You know, I won't go into how I put this together, there's plenty of tutorials online for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a folder here called Atomic. That's what I want to call it in PowerSet Generics Effects. You can put it in your own folder rather than RPGRules, because I'm going to keep this one. And we just drag this into here. That I've just put on the robot's right wrist just to kind of get the scale and everything right. And we can now delete that offset robot. Now I just select this and go Tools, RPGRules, Make Visual Effect. That happens when you select any single game object. And this has made a little scriptable object referencing that prefab that we can then use in the power system. So what I'm going to have a look at, we'll have a look at Rainbow Guy first of all. He'd got his red ray, his trusty old red ray, and we will give, instead of using generic energy halo when it actually fires off, we'll get him to fire off the atomic effects from his right hand and see how that works. Fire it off, and there we see it. You can see those particles appear on his hand. Now there's a few things that need tweaking for this sort of style we've been going for here. So let's go back to that atomic FX object. First of all, lifespan of 1 is not really long enough to show it off. We should probably make it last for about 3 seconds. And also, when we run that now, you'll notice it's kind of stuck to his hand, so when his hand comes back it drags the effect with it, rather than kind of staying out in space. So we can tick always detach. And that means that it makes when it spawns a little prefab of the particle system, it doesn't make it a child of his hand. It leaves it in world space. We'll also tick a line. Well, let's just see how that works first. Okay, so now it's going to detach and stay in space, but it's sort of at a bit of an odd angle, whatever angle his hand was at the time. You know, pointing in, pointing out. So what we'll do is we'll tick a line. Now that lines up the y-axis of the particle system, of sort of, I'll just make this white again, just because. Lines up the y-axis of the particle system with the caster to target vector. And that's like with the generic energy halo is doing that. So Atomic is now going to line up and detach every time. While I'm here, I'll just give it to these droids over here. So they were in characters, droid minions, droid bullet. With using the halo, I'll give that the atomic FX that we made, and go and do some shooting with them. So how are we doing now? Yep, now it lines up. You can see it's in a plane in front of us. If we shoot this robot here, it lines up in a plane there. Let's get them to shoot back. Yep, their one's lining up in a plane as well. Not bad. A little bit of an odd angle on that flying one, I think. But yeah, that's starting to get where we want to be now. And you can see that we've got different colour ones. They've got a piercing colour, I've got the red colour there. And yeah, we're sort of getting there, definitely. It'd be nice for it to make some noise as well. So let's do that. With audio clips here, we can put in a number of them. We'll put 3 in, and I'll just select one of 3 random swishes. The reason why we've got an array here rather than just a single one is just to break up the monotony of hearing the same noise every time. You know, standard technique in computer game design, you have sort of little variations of pew, pew, pow to, yeah, so that your own power effects don't drive you nuts, really. And now, yep, Makes a different swish noise every time we use it. Yep, same one as the robot kicks, but you can hear that. Yeah, so that's working all right there. What else do we have in here? We've got use position, I'll come to that in a minute. We've got reset orientation. Tick that if you don't want the orientation of the character's body part to matter. A line will overwrite that anyway. But reset orientation was written for footstep effects. So you don't want the orientation of the character's feet to be used, just their position. No tint. Say we decide we don't want it to get tinted with the powers. You know, we want this little effect to always be kind of purple. That's why I added a little bit sort of dark purple before. And we go to that effect and we just take no tint and it stops applying the power tints. You know, red for me, silver for the droids. So let's just check that. Yep, got a purple thing, effect making a swish. What about you droids over here? Yep, they've got purple pink effects making swishes as well. Excellent. And the scale and type, that's all covered in the power area video. Form name, that's something we'll cover in a video about forms, characters who actually change form, you know, switch meshes and so on. That's what that's for. This use position thing, we'll just have a quick look at. So the atomic effect currently is at 0, 0. Let's move it up to 1, so it's a bit higher up. And we should find that has no effect on us whatsoever on the way the power works, because we haven't got use position ticked. Yep, it's still creating it where it was. But that would come into play if, for example, on the violet ray buff. Let's go back to Rainbow Guy. He has a violet ray, which creates a violet aura, and that currently just has a ring effect. We're going to give that the atomic effect as well. And we're going to put that on his root. So let's see how that looks when we run the violet ray. There it is. Now, that's getting detached, of course. Yeah, we want to take that always detach off. Now, here's a good point actually. If I want to make one that does detach, what I can do is I can just duplicate this. And we'll call this atomic attach effects. And this one will not use the detach. It won't use the align either, but it will still leave it. We'll say don't use the tint. So this is nice. We can reuse the same prefab with different different settings and different visual effects, and we'll make this one silent because it's going to be running as an aura. Okay, so characters Rainbow Guy, violet aura. We're going to give the atomic attach effect to that and play on his root. Let's see if we see that now. Yep, so there it is on his root. It's a little bit low down. What if we sort of wanted it around his chest like Rings of Saturn? What we could do then is we could say this one's going to play on his chest. And let's see how that works. Turn it on. And of course his chest is oriented in a different way. So that's not quite doing what we want it to. It's quite a cool effect actually. But what we might want to do then is say we'll still leave it at the root, but in the prefab, we go back to that, we're going to give it this position about 1 meter up and in the atomic attach effect we're going to say use position. So then when it spawns it looks at the position of this prefab and uses it as a local position offset. So now the atomic aura, yep, sits around his hips like some kind of sci-fi hula hoop while he's using it. And it's completely stable, it's world aligned, it's not sort of moving around with his hips or with his chest or anything, but it's just having that positional offset applied, which is what we wanted. So yeah, they're all the basic settings for visual effects and how to make one out of a simple particle system. In the next few tutorials we'll have a look at what else we can do with these prefabs, some other tools which we've got.